Hey, it's Tim Miller with the Bulwark. Liz Cheney's new book has some shocking reveals about the new Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, that is maybe getting a little overshadowed by all the Trump reveals, and how complicit he was in the effort to overturn the last election and install Trump as an unelected autocrat. So let's just back up. The new book this week, Oath and Honor, is out. I'm sure you've seen Liz Cheney out and about on the interview circuit. You may see her on this YouTube page coming soon. So I want to go through a couple of the takeaways that I think should really alarm us. First up, like the eager beaver child in the front row of the classroom, Mike Johnson volunteered to be Trump's point man on the coup in Congress. Here is the section from the book. On Wednesday morning, December 9th, Representative Mike Johnson of Louisiana, who had become Speaker of the House, sent an email to Republican members with the subject line, "Time-sensitive request from President Trump." "President Trump called me this morning," Johnson reported, "to express his appreciation for our effort to file an amicus brief in Texas." In boldface and underlined red text, Johnson went on to say, "He specifically asked me to contact all Republican members of the House and Senate today and request that all join on to our brief." According to Johnson, Trump would be paying close attention to who did and did not sign on. He said he'll be anxiously awaiting that final list to review. This is gross. 20 minutes after Johnson's email went out, I started hearing from fellow members of Congress. They were angry with Mike's implied threat that he would be collecting names and showing them to Trump. Boy, this is not the way to treat your colleagues, just pressuring them, treating them like babies. And B, especially when it is on something like this, encouraging them to sign on to this completely nonsense brief in order to rub Mr. Trump's belly because he's all sad down in Mar-a-Lago that he lost the election. So that was step one. He sends out the naughty and nice list email to his colleagues. Number two, we find out in the book that not only was Johnson whipping the colleagues to support this coup attempt, he was also misleading his own colleagues. As I read the amicus brief, which was poorly written, dagger, it became clear Mike was less than honest with our colleagues. He was playing bait and switch, assuring members that the brief made no claims about specific allegations of fraud, when in fact it was full of such claims. I texted Johnson, "Mike, just read the brief. Can you share with me who wrote it? I'm confused because contrary to our discussion and to your cover email, the brief recites and affirms as facts known as allegations of serious wrongdoing and fraud by many state officials, including Republicans. I thought the strategy was to support the president's rights to have his claims heard, not to assert facts in a federal court without personal knowledge." What we also learned was that Liz observed that Mike was basically just a suck-up that would do whatever Trump wanted. But the amicus brief episode revealed a side of Mike I had not seen before. He appeared especially susceptible to flattery from Trump and aspired to being anywhere in Trump's orbit. When I confronted him with the flaws in his legal arguments, Johnson would often concede or say something to the effect of, "We just need to do this one last thing for Trump." He would then continue championing his arguments in public or with our colleagues. Again, this guy knows these arguments are full of shit, is making them anyway because he wants to stay in Trump's good graces. That is exactly the most dangerous type of person to have around Trump if he would get into the presidency again. But it's even worse. So here's Liz again. Once again, Johnson said he didn't disagree with me, but he then sent me a Fox News poll showing that 77% of Trump voters and 68% of Republicans believed the election had been stolen for Trump. These numbers are big, Johnson remarked, and something we have to contend with as we thread the needle on messaging. So our little milk mustache good Christian is basically saying that we need to try to steal this election from Joe Biden, and we need to lie about what happened in the election, and we need to try to cancel people's rightful votes just because 77% of Trump voters already believed that the election had been stolen. This is a fundamental moral lesson that you are taught as a child. I mean, whose mother did not say to them, "What, if they jump off a bridge, are you going to jump off a bridge too?" If Mr. Trump and his base of cultists want him to break the law, want him to lie, want him to steal, want him to shred the Constitution, want him to end democracy, Mike Johnson has admitted to Liz Cheney that he'd do it. That's deeply alarming. Okay, here's the last one, and I think probably my favorite. She doesn't put it this way, but I'm just going to be blunt. Mike Johnson is a camera whore, and he decided to try to overturn the Arizona election just because it started with the letter A, and that was first in the alphabet. Now remember, Mike Johnson was giving this speech objecting to Arizona while the crowd is gathering at the mall on January 6th, during Donald Trump's efforts to incite them and to pressure Mike Pence to overturn the election.
National polls, has been said, indicate that a huge percentage of Americans now have serious doubts about not just the outcome of this presidential contest, but also the future reliability of our election system itself. Since we are convinced that the election laws in Arizona and some other key states were changed in this unconstitutional manner, we have a responsibility today.
Here's from Cheney's book. As I listened to Mike Johnson's claim that Arizona clearly violated the Constitution in its selection of presidential electors, it occurred to me that I had never heard him raise a concern about Arizona's elections before. The amicus brief that he and other members had filed concerned only Georgia, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. And Johnson's January 6th statement explaining his support for the objections had likewise dealt only with those 4 states. To my knowledge, Johnson had never made a single argument to our conference challenging the election in Arizona. Yet now he was on the floor of the House arguing that we should ignore the rulings of federal and state courts in Arizona and throw out the results of Arizona's election, thereby disenfranchising millions of voters. Arizona now seemed to be Mike's target because it starts with an A, and therefore came first in our debate. He had apparently developed what he called a genuine belief. What a Christian. That Arizona's election violated the Constitution because it provided an earlier speaking slot and thus an opportunity to appear on camera earlier in the day. Mike's expert constitutional analysis seemed to come with a surprising amount of flexibility. It was a weapon he could wield to disenfranchise any American. And that is about as blunt as you can get from Liz Cheney. This guy has no principles, no morals, no interest in anything except being in Donald Trump's good graces and presenting to the MAGA and evangelical base that he will do whatever they want. That is how he would act if Donald Trump was elected again. And that's why these reveals about his behavior between November and January of 2020 into 2021 should be very, very alarming as we look ahead to the possibility of another Donald Trump presidency. Come back here for more from maybe Liz, we'll see, from me and from the rest of the Bulwark crew. Make sure you subscribe to the feed, and we'll see you soon. Hey, if you like this video and our content, I'd love for you to become a Bulwark Plus member. You get bonus podcasts, you get bonus newsletters, you get bonus takes from me that maybe don't come up on the YouTube feed. You can try it out for free at thebulwark.com/free trial. The link is below in the description. We'd love to have you as a member of our community. We have great commenters and great opportunities for people who want to protect democracy.